Now, the Igbos have received serious bashing in Nigeria.
Just look at me, sir.
In terms of marginalization. This is a country that has survived going to 50 years after the Civil War, and people were given £20 no matter how much you had in the bank, and they survived with that £20 and are still standing. These were people that were promised rehabilitation, reconciliation, reconstruction, and all those who are practicing the breach. 50 years after, we are still fighting in the parliament for a Southeast Commission to do those three things that were promised after the Civil War in 1970. These same Igbos made their own contributions, which in no way you can say is inferior to the contribution of any other part of Nigeria for the independence of our country. These are people who are they are lucky that God created them with the spirit of enterprise. And you have seen what I've done with their £20. Go around Nigeria and tell me how many cities you see that are as well developed as, even let's take the state capitals. Not to talk about going to the hinterland in Igbo land and see the mansions that enterprise has created. So the country has refused to use these people for the growth of the country's economy. If they allowed the Igbos to thrive and to influence others positively, rather than hounding them wherever they are, I think the country would have developed faster and better. Igbos created Lagos, Igbos created Abuja, Igbos created Kaduna, Kano, most of the country, Port Harcourt.
I think that's enough. Igbos created everywhere but their home. When people say things about if they allow them thrive, sincerely, I would love, maybe when people come up, to understand what that really means. Because as far as I can tell, like, they are everywhere and nobody is stopping them from doing their businesses. They are there. Like, I don't understand this idea of if they allow them to thrive. I don't really get that, because I would say they are doing well. After all, you just mentioned that they are building embassies and mansions, so apparently the money is coming from somewhere. So I don't get that. And the part where they developed everywhere, I hope that they can use the same energy to do something about their own home. But I promise to play a video I'm not going to go deep into this, but the idea, somebody says he forgot that they developed heaven. Yeah, he forgot, yes, apparently. So I'm going to play, I promise to play a video by Nwodo, all right? Just to make it very clear. We had a session on this some time ago, so we're not going to do it now, but just to quickly set that record straight. Right, this is from John Nwodo. He used to be the President General of Ohaneze Ndigbo. Take a listen to this.
But that £6,000 that was left in the money, my father discovered it 6 months after the war, when the manager of Barclays Bank then, which is now Union Bank, called him and revealed to him that he had £6,000 plus interest, which were not tampered with during the course of the war. My dad then decided to buy a Mercedes lorry bus. That time in the Southeast, all the vehicles that were there had been used during the war, and many had been cannibalized, and the few that survived were smoking or hardly in any good condition to traverse state territories. There was no farming throughout the war, and a lot of people who were compressed in few communities where the war did not reach did not have enough food cultivated in those communities to sustain them. So all the food that were coming to the east were brought from the west and the north, principally from the north.
His own father got £6,000 back with interest. The way it worked was, if you could produce your passbook and other documents, you would get your money back. The folks who didn't get their money back apparently happened to be those who either could not produce their passbooks, of people who already took their money and exchanged it for Biafran pound. And there was a rumor at the time in 1970 that if they had 20 Biafran pound, they would get Nigerian naira. In fact, that's number 3. I'll come back to number 3 later. Number 2 were people who brought their old Nigerian pound and wanted to change it to Nigerian naira after the nation was already done with the exercise, which happened in January of 1968. They now brought their own old Nigerian notes in 1970, asking that Nigeria should change it for them, which of course was impossible. The last one was the ones who had Biafran pounds. So they took their money, they exchanged it for Biafran pounds. They now carried the Biafran pounds to Nigeria and said, take this Biafran pounds. We heard, they had this rumor that if you had 20 Biafran pounds, you would get 1 Nigerian pound, the new pound at the time. Which makes no sense, because the Biafran pounds has no value. Okay, so the Biafran pound has no value. What exactly is the value of a Biafran pound? And it's like giving me 20 pieces of paper and telling me to give you $1. Like, so what's the value of the paper you're giving to me? Why do I need the paper? That's, and I've said several times, the Biafran pound was not worth, at the time, it wasn't worth the bill, the currency was not worth the paper on which it was printed. Today, you might decide to take it as a collector's item, which is okay. But at the time, it was just a waste. Again, the 20 pounds, and looking back right now, I wonder if Nigeria should have given people anything at all. Because there was civil war in the United States in the, I think it was 1860, in the 1860s, 65 or 60s, thereabout. There was civil war in the 1860s in the United States. I didn't see the federal government giving the South anything. What they did with 20 pounds was to help people get back to where they were. It was an ex gratia payment. It wasn't something for, they were not paying you for anything like, oh, you had money in bank, but I'm going to give you 20 pounds. They were trying to help because, number one, you couldn't produce any proof that you had any money in the bank. Number two, if you had changed your money already, who is going to give you any money? So, in case you're Nigerian, people come to you and say, they give us 20 pounds. You should be grateful. In my culture, when people give you gifts, you're supposed to say thank you. Not to now say, I had more than that before. When you started the war, number one, when you gave the money to when you returned home, we didn't have any conversation, so you didn't give me anything. I was not the one who told you to travel. Number two, when you gave your money to Ojukwu, and Ojukwu ran away to Cote d'Ivoire, how come you didn't send telegram to Cote d'Ivoire to get you your money back? Why should Nigeria pay you for the worthless bills you have? What Nigeria did was something to make you feel like, come back home. For instance, apart from that, if you were working in the Federal Civil Service, you got your job back. Oh, we've done these sessions before, maybe another time, but people got their jobs back. Do you know that even Buhari, that is so hated, actually paid the gratuity of Biafran soldiers? Not in 1980, not in the 1980s. Oh, this one that they finished in 2023. He was paying Biafran pensioners who were supposed to not have anything to do with Nigeria anymore. Nigeria has done too much for the Igbos. There's no other part of the world where you had the civil war and you have that kind of, you have things sorted out that way. Number two, they had a civil war and the losing side produced the vice president 9 years after that war. But what do you get for all the, we are brothers, let's work together? What do you get? You get insults. But so the name change that just started is the beginning. Meanwhile, while all this was going on, Lagos Yoruba people were saying, let them come back home. In case you have not heard that before.
Can you accept that the Igbos will be your brothers after this war?
Of course, really. We like them. We are the same Nigerians. We want them. That's why we are fighting for unity.
Do you think they will like you so much, though, after all this?
But I don't say, but we know that we like them.
But do you feel it will be easy to integrate them in Nigeria now?
Well, they are already Nigerians.
What?
They are already Nigerians. We never dispute them.
Well, they disputed it, though, didn't they?
No, they didn't dispute.
Well,
They
they-
were misled.
Well, they set up a country of their own, called it Biafra.
They were misled, not that
They were misled.
they were misled. And they've now seen the light.
Do you feel that the Igbo... Can you accept that the Igbos will be your brothers after this
Of
war?
course, really. We like them.
Somebody says Igbos received £20, but the Midwesterners never received. That's true. The Midwesterners received nothing. And you need to know what happened in the Midwest. We've had sessions on it, so if you check our videos on YouTube, you will find some information about it. What happened to the Midwesterners? How Igbos overran those spaces, set up concentration camps in people's lands. They did it in Benin, all over Midwest. They did it in Rivers, Abonema, Degema, did it all over the place, in their own homeland. How much has Igbo paid folks in Rivers? The Ijo, the Ikwere? How much have they been paid? The Ikwere saw fire during the war. That's why when you say Ikwere Igbo, they'll be like they want to slap your face. That's the reason. And yes, they killed Yoruba people in Ore. They killed Ibibio people in Akwa Ibom, Efik in Akwa Ibom. They killed Ogoni people, Ijo people, Ikwere people, Kalabari people in Rivers and Bayelsa. They killed Ogoja people, Ikom people in present-day Cross River State. Let alone the Shekiri, the Hausas, the Northerners that were killed in Port Harcourt, in Umaya, in Owerri, in Enugu, in Onitsha, in Benin, in Ueli, in Sapele, in Warri. Or even, are we going to talk about the lepers that were killed in Benin? Lepers who were not Igbos. The ones who were Igbos were spared. All this one-sided, we developed everywhere, but we are marginalized everywhere. It just doesn't make sense. Like Otia correlates gone. You developed everywhere, but you're marginalized everywhere. If you had so much sense to develop everywhere, you should be the king of everywhere, apparently. But we shall all get it eventually. Moving on, as